Hi all, with the massive growth in popularity of generative AI based models such as ChatGPT, Google Bard, Microsoft Bing, there is an emerging area of engineering that is gaining widespread popularity, and that is the need of the hour. It is known as prompt engineering. So what is prompt engineering? As you would recall, by your experience of working with ChatGPT or Google Bard or Microsoft Bing, that you need to provide certain input to these models in order to get the relevant output. Now these inputs, these textual inputs are known as prompts, and in order to make the results more and more relevant, more and more optimized, as well as solve complex tasks for you, there are certain steps or certain techniques using which you can optimize your prompts, or you can make your prompts more engineered to solve your problems. This is known as prompt engineering. But why do we need prompt engineering in the first place? So say for example, you pass a basic prompt that you want ChatGPT to summarize the input provided by you. Now ChatGPT could very well summarize the text that you have provided, and this works fine for general population, right? But for commercial purposes, for use cases that involve various business applications, you need certain specific sets of outputs, and that needs to follow a specific structure. Say for example, in the medical domain, you want to summarize a medical report. Now you would want your ChatGPT or your generative model, in order to behave as a medical expert and extract out meaningful medical information, leaving the rest of the information, and then summarize the entire medical report. Now in order to make your ChatGPT or any other generative AI model do so, you need to engineer your prompt. You need to provide relevant instructions to your prompt. Consider this ChatGPT as a Wikipedia or a large library of information, right? If you don't know the right set of tools to get the information that you need, you would spend hours, even days, or perhaps even years trying to get the relevant information, and that too may not be as fruitful. So now what is the solution? So there are three primary prompting techniques that we need to learn in order to make sure that our prompts are relevant and are able to solve a lot more complex tasks than we see on the face of it. So the very first technique is zero shot prompting. Zero shot prompting is the very basic prompting. For example, you say to your model, summarize this particular text, and your model does so. That is a zero shot prompting. You are not providing any examples to your model. In few shot prompting, which is the second type of prompting, you provide some of the relevant examples. Say for example, you pass a text input, and then for that text input you provide a summary of that text along with your input. Now what happens here is, you are providing certain examples to your model in order for the model to understand how would you want your results to be. So this helps in scenarios where you want the model to generate responses based on a particular pattern. You do not want generic responses, right? Like for example, question answering. If you ask open-ended questions like who is the father of the nation, the model could give you any answer depending on the context understood by the model, right? But if you provide a set of examples to the model would know in what context are you talking to, and in what context you would want your answers to be. So this was the second type. Now the third and a rapidly developing prompting technique, which is quite new and is gaining rapid popularity, is chain of thought prompting. The chain of thought prompting is simply, let us understand it this way, right? Your teacher gives you a question that Ram has 5 apples. Ram buys another box of apples which contains 3 more apples. Now Ram wants to distribute these apples among 4 people. So how many apples each of them would get, and how many apples are left with Ram? Now in such reasoning type of questions or tasks that require certain computational thought process or thinking processes, your model might generate a response which is not correct, right? Your model might generate that Ram has 2 apples left. Now semantically and syntactically this is correct, right? And there is no questioning about whether this answer fits the grammatical correctness or not. But in terms of the mathematical reasoning that you wanted your model to consider, the model has not taken that into consideration. So what happens here is, you need to provide the logical chain of thinking to your model. You need to say, okay, Ram initially had 5 apples. Now Ram is buying 3 more apples. So 5 plus 3 becomes 8. Now these 8 apples need to be distributed among 4 people. So each of them would get 2 apples and Ram would be left with 0 apples. Based on this, solve the next question. So this is the chain of thinking. You are letting the model know what is the thought process that the model needs to use in order to build that answer or arise to that solution. I'll attach some link in the description which is about the paper relating to the chain of thought thinking. There are some suitable examples, some very good examples. Make sure to check it out, and perhaps in the next video we'll also see some of the rules using which we can create such prompts, right? There are certain set of rules. It's not a very objective thing, right? Prompting is a subjective idea because that is a textual based input and there are no rules, but there are guidelines using which you can get the best out of it. Okay, with this we'll see you in the next lecture. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Jai Hind.